Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Letty, and I have a new video for you guys. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure that you hit the subscribe bell and also turn your notifications on so that you're notified every time I post a video. If you guys can hear that atrocious noise in the back, they're doing some work outside. I do live in Brooklyn, New York, where the construction does not seem to end. Anyways, the topic I wanted to speak on today is cheating, and I know that this is a touchy subject. I feel like the oddball out every time this discussion comes up. I just feel like people don't take cheating as serious as it really is. I mean, a lot of people in committed relationships, I would say, i.e. marriages and long-term relationships of 3 years plus, like I've heard people say that in their relationships they do not use protection, which if you are with someone, living together, you've entrusted them with your living space, so you have some form of comfortability with that person, I suppose. I get it, and any normal human being would get the fact of not using protection in a committed relationship of, a certain amount of time. There are people who look at cheating as move on, jump onto the next vagina or jump into the next hole, and that's so dangerous. It's dangerous on so many levels. Like, I honestly feel that people aren't taking into perspective what really happens when someone cheats. Cheating on someone is never okay. I am a firm believer in, if you are not happy, I suggest just breaking that person's heart, because a lot of the cheaters, they tend to justify the cheating by saying that, oh, I just didn't want to hurt their feelings, it would be so much better if I can just cheat and have them find out and suffer and wonder why was I cheated on, what was I not doing right. That's far much better than having an adult conversation and saying, hey, listen, I'm not happy, I'm sorry that this is what it is, but this is what it's come to. Let's just both go our separate ways. How simple. How simple is that? When someone is cheated on, they're hurt, they're betrayed. When you cheat on someone, especially someone that you've been with for a good amount of time, what that does is that creates a type of mistrust for other people that they may get into relationships with. It may bring up a lot of childhood traumas. It's never a good situation. Cheating really messes with your head, especially the type of cheating. I grew up in a household where, not really a household, but a family. I grew up in a family where I watched my dad cheat on every single woman he's ever been with. I'm talking about, I've never seen my dad be faithful ever in life. You would watch that as a young girl and just think to myself, like, what is the issue? Especially because, a little backstory, my dad ended up abandoning me when I came to the United States from a little island called Jamaica. All the yardies big up on themselves. Yeah, right, this stuff. Yeah, but my dad ended up abandoning me when we came to this country. Now, of course, he provided monetarily. Of course, he would throw money at whoever had me at the time, my grandmother or my aunt. He would throw money at them every once in a blue just to keep them quiet every time they would have anything to say about him not being there physically, And I just knew that I did not want to be with a man like my father. Now, the mental damage that I believe it took on me is it made me, although I had all these strong feminist thoughts and feelings and lifestyle that I wanted to live, I eventually fell into that pattern because subconsciously my dad was teaching me as a young girl that I should accept what, you know, these men are willing to do to you. Now, of course, he didn't say that out of his mouth. He told me, you know, you want to be with a man that fears you. You want to be with a man that's afraid to lose you. But my dad was my first love. My dad was my hero. He was he was the man that I looked up to, you know. So for him to tell me that, and that's why I strongly believe that parents should not say to their children one thing and then exemplify another thing. Like, you should not tell your kids to not smoke, don't drink, you know, get your education and whatever, but you're a piece of shit that's smoking on the couch all day and drinking beers and probably in and out of jail. Like, that's not a good example to set when you're telling your child the complete opposite. That really messes with someone's brain. That's probably a topic for another time. I digress. Cheating messes with people mentally. You just never know where someone is mentally. So we want to start there. Mentally, you are fucking with people's minds, especially those cheaters who are narcissistic. What I mean by that, a narcissistic cheater will have you questioning things that is right in front of you. They'll have yourself turn against yourself. You'll believe you're crazy. You'll believe you're going mad. You'll believe that you're the problem. You'll believe that you can't be satisfied. They literally take your mind and twist it and morph it and make it into this fairy tale rose colored wearing fantasy land. They are all these things they speak of with no action. They'll tell you they're a provider and don't provide anything. You're going 50-50. They'll tell you they're all about love. Meanwhile, they talk shit about everyone around them. They'll tell you they love you and then abuse you mentally, spiritually, emotionally, financially. They'll make sure that, you know, they don't get caught. But you feel it. Women have intuition. People of a higher elevation, we have intuition. So I won't even say just women. Men have it too. Because there's a lot of scheming, nasty, sleazy Jezebels out there that have the art of seduction. They have the art of manipulation, just like any other man. My son's father, when I met him, everything was like perfect. I want to say the first maybe 6 weeks, literally only 6 weeks. The first 6 weeks of our relationship, this man was like my Prince Charming. Our story was a long, drawn out, quote unquote love story. It was like something out of a book. I really, truly, and honestly 1000% thought that this was my person. I thought that somehow God was blessing me with a man who would be able to provide me with that family that I never had and that I always wanted. He played that role. He really did. And for the 6 weeks, everything was like clockwork. We were going on dates, we would talk, we would express ourselves, we would communicate. It was amazing. What I didn't realize was he was trauma bonding with me. He was trauma bonding with me and love bombing me and setting me up for the big drop. So after 6 weeks of trauma bonding and love bombing and it being like this fairy tale, the big drop came when he just stopped communication. Literally. We went from texting and talking and planning our future together to him just not talking to me. Imagine what that does to someone, especially someone that comes from a background of certain lifestyles and traumas. Imagine what that does to someone, right? So he stops talking to me, and literally at the time I was just trying to get answers. Like, I'm like, hey, what's going on? Like, are we okay? Like, what are we doing? And he's ignoring me, literally not texting back. So then I make up this scheme to like see where his head is at. So I asked him for something monetarily Because in my head, I just felt like, because this was a guy that was all about taking care of you. He wants to be a provider. He wants to be a protector. Like, that's his main goal. You know, he messed up with his ex and he's just laid it on thick. Come to find out, all of that was lies. Like, he painted his ex as the Jason of the horror story, but he was really describing himself. I created this grand idea to ask him for something monetarily, because in my head I'm like, well, if he cares, he'll answer me. At least I'll get an answer, even if it's a no. So I'm like, okay. At that point, I'm like, no, there has to be something going on. Like, there has to be someone else. So I'm like trying to reach out, trying to get answers. He's not responding. I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, I'm sad about it. I'm distraught about it, but it is what it is. I had a few things at his house, so I wanted to go get my things. He agreed to that, you know, and I went to get my things. Now I go to get my things, and I can't remember verbatim what happened, but I remember us somehow making up. And then he went to take a shower, which he brought his phone with him, which that is a red flag number one. That's red flag number one. If someone is like constantly gripping their phones, like they cannot walk, they cannot pee, they cannot poop, they cannot eat without their phone, something is in that phone. You don't even got to go through it. Something is in there. They don't want you to see it. There's a whole different life in that phone. I went to use the restroom right after him, and he happened to have left his phone in the shower after, leaving. And I took a look at his phone, and at the time he had it where the messages would pop up on the phone without having to go into the phone. And I saw this girl sending him emoji. No, not an emoji. I'm sorry. What is it called? A meme. Yeah, a meme of like different sex positions. And she's like, yeah, next time we need to try this. So I'm like, oh shit. Okay. So me now, I'm trying to, at the time that I met this guy, I was really trying to like work on myself, be by myself, and just have fun. I went into the room with the intentions of being really mature and just talking it out with him. Like, hey, what's going on? What is this? Like, whatever. Although I see what it is, I don't even know why I wanted to ask those questions. But when you're not mature and you haven't done the work, you do things. Upon entering the room, I saw his face, I saw red, and I just sailed that phone right at his head. Hit him in the chest. He got up, slapped me. I don't know what happened. Slapped me, punched me. I don't know. I ended up on the floor. At the time that this is going on, there's a house full of people. There were, I believe, 2 of his friends were there. His sister was there. And of course, they all ran into the room. They, brought him out of the room, but they were all like cackling and laughing and whatever. And I now realize that the reason they were doing that is because he was cheating on me the whole entire time. Like, I found out so much, like, it's crazy. But yeah, they came into the room, they took him out, and he's like cursing at me, basically asking me why was I going through his phone and invading his privacy, and it was all on me. Like, completely forget the fact that you're faking a whole entire relationship with me while doing whatever with whoever. It was crazy. That should have been it for me, but I ended up forgiving. He said he was sorry, and we got back together. And I want to tell you, to those girls that were like me, that just felt like, oh, he's shared all this trauma that he's been through and he's working on himself because that's what he said. F all of that. F it all. If someone is saying something and their actions do not match, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. If a man that has had 50 freaking relationships and none of them were his fault, it's a wrap. Why are you even there? If a man has impregnated 5 different women and hasn't married any of them, you will not be lucky number 6. I'm telling you, ladies, we have to get it together. Cheating should be a no-brainer, not only because of the mental abuse, but the physical abuse. Physical abuse should not be tolerated at all. Like, once a man even raises his voice at you, you should be out. And that's where I'm at now in life. Like, if a man shows any type of aggression, whether it be talking with the hands, raising the voice a little too high, I'm out. I gotta go, because I'm not dealing with that. And the funny part about it is, when I met my son's father, that was one of my rule breakers. I told him, like, once a man gets physical with me or tries to get physical with me, I'm out. Why I forgave him after he got physical with me is beyond me. The physical abuse, that's a no-brainer. The emotional abuse and the emotional toll that cheating takes on someone, you know, that's anyone. I'm talking about men and women, but I'm speaking on women because I'm a woman, and I'm speaking from a woman's standpoint and my journey and what I've been through. So just plug the gender roles where you need to get the message. Cheating, when you're trusting someone and you're having unprotected sex, and then they're out there having unprotected sex with other people, and they don't even know what those people are doing with other people, that's a problem. When I'm in a relationship, I still get tested. I don't care. I've spoken to women of all walks of life who say that they don't get tested while in their relationships and marriages, which I think is freaking bananas. Like, I've had conversations with nurses who say they don't get tested because they are in a committed relationship, which is crazy to me. It's crazy to me. That's how it should be. To be honest, that's how it should be. You should be able to trust your partner and not have to even think about that. Like, when I left my relationship with my son's father, and looking back, I realized, like, why did I need to feel the need to go get tested every 6 months while I'm supposed to be in a committed relationship? I mean, thank God, because it's the grace of God that man did not give me anything. Because the things I found out about this man and the reckless behavior of this man, and I'm not just talking about in the little town he moved me to. I'm not just talking about in the state that we were living in. I'm talking about all over the country, all over into other countries. Like, this man was wild. And now he's in a position where I think about it, I'm like, if he was that sex crazed and addicted and couldn't control himself, I know that in the situation he's in now, that hasn't stopped. That has not stopped. So I'm sure there are things that will probably be revealed that I've kind of had suspicions about, and I'm going to leave that up to the imagination. When someone cheats, they are showing you that not only do they not care about themselves, they don't care about you. Not only about your mental and your physical, but emotionally, they don't care. Physically, on a higher scale, this person is willing to expose themselves to all types of diseases. But not only that, they're willing to bring those diseases back to you. And that's the part that people seem to be oblivious about. I have to put myself in that category too, because at the time that I'm with this man, that was the furthest thing from my thoughts, because I'm thinking like, yeah, you know, sometimes I catch him doing this or catch him doing that, but I never caught anything. So is it really happening? Like, it starts to with your mind. It really does. And I think at a point in time, he was so confident that he had my mind that he would say that to me. He would say, well, at least I didn't give you anything. When someone cheats, that should be it. Wrap it up. Wrap it the up. Because it never stops and it only gets worse. Don't you ever forgive a cheater. A cheater does not respect you. A cheater does not love you. A cheater is not sorry. I don't care if that man is boo-hoo crying with snots running down his nose. Statement that was said to me by one of his many, many, many side chicks. That man cried to one of his side chicks with snot and tears running down his nose, telling this woman that he wished the baby that was growing from my body that I almost expired to have. I almost expired having this baby. But this man was boohoo snot nose crying to another woman, telling her he wished that it was her. And that's after bashing this woman for years of our relationship. Bashing this woman, saying the most explicit things that I wouldn't even disclose to her. While this woman is telling me these things, I'm just thinking of all the things he said about this woman to me. And that's when I realized that, and that was the beginning actually of me realizing that this is not it. This is not it. So ladies, please listen to your auntie. Do not take a cheater back. Cheating is a deal breaker. I wouldn't even classify it as a deal breaker. It should be like a, I don't know, a stamp. Like once the cheating happens, you just walk away. You don't even need to have a conversation with a cheater. Most of us, we want closure. We want this, we want that. You'll never get it from a cheater. You'll never get it. They'll go from playing the victim to blame shifting. Now it's your fault that I cheated. Like it will never be good for you to have a conversation with a cheater. So that's the video, guys. Thank you for listening. Please if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, give this video a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.